Who want to chant?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna Bami.
Let me chant it before I go.
Go ahead.
Okay. Jayora Dhamma Dhamma Punjabi Hare Jayora Dhamma Dhamma Punjabi Hare Jaya Gopi Janabala Giridhari
Jaya Gopi Janavala Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Janabala Giridhari
Jaya Gopi Janavala Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Brajajana Rajana
Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Brajajana Rajana
Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjara Bihari
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare
Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Rama
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva
Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva
Jai Guru Haribo
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo.
We thank God, Premanande. Haribo.
Thank you very much. Om Agana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chaksuramilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadesha Tarani Pancha Kalpa Sarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadhanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gora Tushe Namaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Okay, so we are studying Rupa Goswami's Nectar of Instruction. We chant when we start Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. That means Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam. He understands the mind of Lord Chaitanya. Therefore, we follow Rupa Goswami because he knows the mind of Lord Chaitanya and he knows how to guide us to please Lord Chaitanya. Okay, so we'll start this paragraph. Karmi's labor to accumulate more and more money. Who can read?
Karmi's labor to. Please, Guru, accept my humble obeisances. Oh, glory to you. Karmi's labor to accumulate more and more money for future generation only because they do not know their future position. Interested only in getting more and more money for their sons and grandsons. Such foolish persons do not even know what their position is going to be in the next life. There are many incidents that illustrate this point. Once a great Kami accumulated a vast fortune for his sons and grandsons, but later, according to his karma, he took his birth in a cobbler's house located near the building which his previous life he had constructed for his children. It so happened that when this very cobbler came to his former house, his former sons and grandsons beat him with shoes unless the Kamis and Jainis become interested in Krishna consciousness. They will simply continue to waste their life in fruitless activity. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Okay, would you like to explain something?
The letter that I can share about this paragraph is that we have all tasted material life without Krishna consciousness, and most of us in the world we think life is just about making money, having the mansions, having a $1 billion account, and having the cars and what have you, all those good things that has to do with the body. But this test is letting us to understand that accumulating all these things, even in the Bible, it says, what shall I profit a man to gain the whole world and lose the soul? Which means that all these things that we are toiling for, that we are working like asses every day and night, we wake up at the dawn, we go and come back in the evening just to come and eat small, sleep, maybe sex life, 10 minutes, 20 minutes sex life, then I'm done, always working without even seeing daylight. But all this thing has nothing to do with my next life. And even as I'm struggling for all this, all this vast of material accumulation, I have no knowledge of what I'm going to, what my future life is going to be in my next life. So one is supposed to take to a path that can help us to enlighten us to know what is ahead of us, because in this life, I cannot add, I cannot subtract. Because of my past life activity, whatever I'm supposed to get, I will get, and whatever I'm not supposed to get, no matter how fast I work, no matter what, I will never get. But happiness and distress, they come by nature's course, because it is there already. What is most important that this test is trying to tell us is that we should rather be important to know what will be our next life. What is to know the Atmata, to understanding the soul and the purpose why this soul dwells inside the body, so that we can give the knowledge or the food that the soul needs, they can take us to the next life, which is going back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you.
So Prabhupada gives that example of the man taking birth. Sometimes he says he could even take birth as a cockroach in the house or a tree leaning on the house. He's so much attached to that house and thinking how his children, but the children often are fighting over the house also. That happens all the time in every country. You know, there's 2 children and or more, and they're all in court and they're fighting over the father's property. And it's sometimes very nasty. And somehow people are catching on. I was on one airplane, this was a long time ago, when they just had one big movie in front. And, you know, every time I opened my eyes, I would see this movie. And the beginning of the movie, it showed a car crashing and going over the side of a cliff in slow motion, and the guy getting killed. Then later I looked up and there was dogs, little dogs and puppies running around and different things. And then I looked at what is this movie all about? So that the movie was that this very rich man, he was on the cover of Fortune magazine or something, and he was killed in the car crash. And then he became a dog. But as a dog, he remembered his previous life. So somehow or other, the dog found a home, you know, in the previous house where he was the rich man and his wife and children. So somehow he found his way to this house, and the dog came to the door of the house. And the wife, you know, opened the door and saw this dog and just chased him away. So people are reading Prabhupada's books. That's what I thought. You know. So, but this is what can happen. You know, they work so hard, and sometimes the children will kick him out. This happens very often, at least in India. In Japan, the man has worked so hard his whole life to have a house for the wife and children. Then when he gets old and doesn't they kick him out, take all his money and kick him out of the house. So, dangerous world. We should put our treasure, you know, making things nice for Krishna, and that'll automatically make things nice for other people also. But, so this is all, you know, basic spiritual knowledge. Okay, in the next paragraph, who will read? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, right?
Accepting some of
Yeah.
Accepting some of the scriptural rules and regulations for immediate benefit as utilitarians advocate is called Niyama Hagraha, and neglecting the rules and regulations of the Shastras, which are meant for spiritual development, is called Niyama Agraha. The word Agraha means eagerness to accept, and Agraha means failure to accept. By the addiction of either of these two words to the word Niyama, rules and regulation, the word Niyama Agraha is formed. Thus, Niyama Agraha has a twofold meaning that is understood according to the particular combination of words. Those interested in Christiousness should be eager to accept rules and regulations for economic development, yet they should very faithfully accept scriptural rules and regulations for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. They should strictly follow the rules, the regulative principles, by avoiding illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxicants. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
All right. So one interesting thing here is about language. Agraha means eager to accept, and agraha, just by changing the syllable from a short, long syllable to short, or short to long, means complete opposite meanings. So that's one reason there's so much confusion when people are talking, you know, especially if people are not native of that language, you know, they can't get these pronunciations exactly right. It sounds the same maybe to us, but actually it's not the same, you know. In Sanskrit, that's very common. Short and long syllables change the meaning. Like Vasudev is a name, and then Vasudev means the son of Vasu. Like that, just by changing the one syllable, you can change the whole meaning of the whole sentence. So we have to be careful in communication. And we have to realize, why are we doing, what is the goal of our life? See, is our goal just to get some rice and gari and beans every day, or is our goal to get Krishna Prema? Is our goal to be, you know, have a title, be the president of the temple, or be something? Or is our goal to be a servant of Krishna, a humble servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And to think about it. So we have rules and regulations. Sometimes people say we don't like that. Religion shouldn't have any rules and regulations. But everywhere there's rules and regulations. You can't live if there was no law, you know, like in India, it's very not so easy to drive a car because there's sometimes it seems like there's no rules. People just drive wherever they want, you know, whichever side of the road they care, they can, and if they don't follow the rules, then, you know, everybody suffers. So, but if we have rules and regulations just for the sake of manipulating and controlling people and exploiting them, that's no good either. And that's why people reject, because people misuse power. So they make laws just to manipulate the people and tax the people and not to help anybody. All right, so that one's pretty simple.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I have one example about rejecting the rules and regulation. There was one time, there was one devotee, so he was talking with other of his friends, and he was saying, you see, this Ekadasi, I don't know why we have to observe Ekadasi. We are not eating meat, we are not eating this, we are not eating that. They say also a day we should not eat grains. No, I cannot do this. So I was just laughing in my mind. So I could relate with this verse, because he doesn't know why he should follow that. So he's thinking, oh, there's no need for me to follow Ekadasi. Already I'm following so many other rules. So I said, let me share it, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, and you know, one thing is when we're explaining things, we should talk about the benefits of following Ekadasi or following the principles, rather than talk about the punishment for not following. A lot of times devotees ask me, what happens if someone, doesn't follow, they get initiated, they don't follow. We don't know what will happen because there's many different factors. But we should be asking what happens to those who really do follow, because we want to follow. We don't want to follow just because we're afraid of going to hell. I just saw a little clip of a Christian, who was an atheist actually, but he said this, this threatening of hell, he said, I don't want to be a good person just so I don't have to go to hell. Why can't I just be a good person anyway? But you can't be a really good person without God consciousness. But that's true, that if you're just thinking, oh, I have to be nice because otherwise I'll be punished, you won't be happy being nice. God is, one time Satsvarup Maharaj said to Prabhupada, we were taught to be afraid of God, fear of God. We talk about a God-fearing man. In America, that's the common saying. Prabhupada said, no, he's your friend. Krishna is your friend. But you should not be afraid, but you should want to please him. And when you please him, you get so much benefit. Okay, next paragraph.
One should also avoid association with Mayavadis, who simply blaspheme Vaishnavas, devotees, Mukti Kamis, who are interested in material happiness, Mukti Kamis, who desire liberation by merging in the existence of the formless absolute Brahman, and Siddhi Kamis, who desire the perfection of mystic yoga practice, are classified as antiharis. To associate with such person is not at all desirable. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Somebody reading?
Yes. One should also avoid association with Mayavadis, who simply blaspheme Vaishnavas, devotees, Mukti Kamis, who are interested in material happiness, Mukti Kamis, who desire liberation by emerging in the existence of the formless absolute Brahman, and Siddhi Kamis, who desire the perfection of mystic yoga practice, are classified as antiharis. To associate with such person is not at all desirable. Hare Krishna.
Okay, would somebody like to explain this? Is kind of important. Mayavadis, they blaspheme devotees and Krishna. They say there's God is not a person. Everything is nothing. So many stupid things they say. Bhakti kamis. Those are interested only in material happiness. Because if we associate with those kind of people and we always hear them talking, we might get attracted. But material happiness, devotee is not interested because it comes and goes very quickly. And it doesn't always come very quickly, but it goes very quickly. After working so hard to get something we think is going to make us happy, that anticipation sometimes is much more pleasurable than the actual getting it. When we get it, never as good as it's supposed to be. And then mukti comes. Mukti means they want liberation. They want to merge into the formless absolute, or the void, or the nothing. And then siddhi comes. Now that's what everybody really wants, mystic power, you know. And there's so many mystic powers that are listed in the 12th canto. There's the 8 main ones. Those we don't think about so much, but other ones would be all powerful, to travel anywhere at will, to see things far away clearly, to hear everything, to control people's minds, to be invulnerable. These are all different mystic powers that nowadays the superheroes in the movie, they have one of these powers, 2 of these powers. Everybody pays a fortune to see an imitation of mystic powers done by all kinds of photography tricks, because they're thinking, I'd like to have that power. But Krishna devotees have all mystic power, pure devotee, but they don't care about it. Krishna is the master of all mystics. Lord Shiva is also the master of all mystics. So we depend on them, and then we can't be hurt by any mystic activity. So stay away from those people. Intimate association. So, intimate association means with devotees. So we talk about Krishna, we talk about how to get out of the material, not how to get in or how to stay in. All those other things, bhukti, mukti, siddhi, they want something, so they have to keep staying again, birth after birth, in the material world to get those things. Okay, next. I'm just explaining it a little bit.
Desires to expand the mind by perfecting mystic yoga, merging in the existence of Brahman, or attaining whimsical material prosperity are all included within the category of greed, lulia. All attempt to acquire such material benefit or so-called spiritual advancement are impediment on the path of Krishna consciousness.
Now, lolium, greed, there's also good greed. You want more service. You want to chant more. You want to be more surrendered. You want to be greedy to serve Krishna, or greedy for prasadam even. But if we, in the very beginning time, if someone's very greedy, they want to eat more and more prasadam, very good. But after a while, we can't do that. It will be very unhealthy, but that's another type of greed. This material greed can never be satisfied. So one has to give it up. Because if you're greedy, I want more money, say, okay, I need, I don't know what you'd want, $1 million naira. But then you get the $1 million naira and it's not really very much. You can't really get the biggest car, you can't get a new house, you can't get the best of anything. So then you want 5 million, then you want 100 million. So the greed just builds up and up and up, and then one just goes crazy. And like we said yesterday, they have prosperity church. The church is simply promising prosperity. There's many Hindu so-called sannyasis or incarnations that also just promise prosperity. And there's Buddhist monks, Buddhist temples that just promise prosperity. All complete opposite of their founder acharyas and their scripture. Although I heard you might want, because you come, from a Christian background, well, maybe the ones that are born in the movement, don't have a Christian background, but Jesus said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to go to heaven. That means that the rich man can't take it with him, you know. They used to say that all the time when I was young. The people are so confused, though. They would say you can't take it with you, but at the same time they say you got to work hard so you can get a lot of money and enjoy life. And then they tell you, but you can't take it with you. So then, you know, a lot of young people got really confused, and that was a setup for Prabhupada coming and telling us the real facts about life. You know. Anyway, I just read this, the eye of the needle is another meaning besides the sewing needle. Listen carefully. So there's a gate to get into Jerusalem. You know, Jerusalem had a wall all around it. So like you see gates sometimes, when they close the big gate, there's a small door for walking through. Right? Following?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
So, and one of these gates to Jerusalem, when they closed the gate, there was a small door, and that door was called the Eye of the Needle. And a camel could sometimes get through, but the camel would have to get down on its knees and walk on its knees. It'd be very, very difficult. And sometimes the camel would get hurt, you know, trying to squeeze through this small door. So they say that that's what Jesus meant when he said that. Very difficult for the camel. But of course, it would be extremely difficult for a camel to go through the eye of a sewing needle. But Krishna, when Narada Muni was visiting Vishnu, Vishnu said, tell these devotees that I was putting an elephant through the needle. So Krishna could do that. No one else. Okay, now mystic yoga. Explain. Next paragraph.
Oh, Guru Maharaj,
Hare Krishna.
Priti is raising his hand. Maybe he wants to ask a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Baula Priti.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you. Please, my question has to do with the mystic yoga aspect, the paragraph before the one that we have just read. Say you explained that one should go away from this kind of practices because it will not help us in our devotional service. But also, you all know that it is true. But most of us, we are working. We also, even though even sometimes we have this kind of idea that when I have this mystical CDs, it can even boost my way of preaching to people because chemistry, astrology, and all this numerology, they are all there. And most of us, it's like, if we have to be honest with ourselves, most of us have this kind of desire to have these abilities, even though we are present because we are not in the Paramahamsa level. We are all, most of us, we are Kanista devotees or we are neophyte. So we have this knowledge or this mentality that if I have this ability, it will help me probably even in the way of preaching. And also we have those who are grahastas, they are working. But the work are not going as they are expecting, even though the scriptures let us understand that because of our past life activities, what we deserve, we will get. What we don't deserve, we will never get. But some of us too, we have this idea or this knowledge that if I have maybe this astrological ability or this numerological ability, I'll be able to do something. Or if I have knowledge about certain about mystical, I can work some things out to boost my business or to help things to move directly in my way, so that I can also use it to access devotion service. So in acquiring these CDs, in a way, can't it help with the neophyte devotees in a way to help our devotion life to maybe to go how it's supposed to go? Hare Krishna Maharaj.
I'm not sure I can follow your question.
Yeah, I can just summarize, Guru Maharaj. So it was asking that as a neophyte devotee, sometimes we have desire to to acquire some of all these abilities of astrology, numerology, thinking that if we get this ability, we can use it for preaching, or if you're a Grihasta, sometimes you can use it to help yourself, to be able to take care of your family. So is it not good, as a devotee, can't we acquire these abilities also?
Well, astrology, someone can use it for their livelihood, someone's professional. Some devotees are astrologers and they use it for preaching by telling people, you're very spiritual. You have this, this much conjunction here, there, and you should definitely read the Bhagavad Gita, things like that. It can be used, but we have to be careful that we don't think one Mataji in Mayapur, who's trained as an astrologer her whole life from South India, she wrote a book, Ruining Your Life with Astrology. She sees many people, they think they can decide everything. So we have to be very careful, especially outside astrologers that, that might really mislead us. We've seen that happen very much. So, yeah, so, it can be used, but we have to be careful. If we understand that Krishna is behind everything and everything is directed by Krishna, it's not the planets that can control our life, they're also fighting amongst themselves. All right. Okay, let's read the next one.
More between and comedy is providing advice of Srila Rupa Goswami regarding Atihara. Modern capitalists accumulate more wealth than necessary, and the communists, envious of their prosperity, want to nationalize all wealth and property. Unfortunately, the communists do not know how to solve the problem of wealth and its distribution. Consequently, when the wealth of the capitalists falls into the hands of the communists, no solution results. Opposed to these two philosophers, the Krishna conscious ideology states that all wealth belongs to Krishna. Thus, unless all wealth comes under the administration of Krishna, there can be no solution to the economic problem of mankind. Nothing can be solved by placing wealth in the hands of the communists or the capitalists. If a $100 bill is lying on the street, someone will pick it up and put it in his pocket. Such a man is not honest. Another man may see the money and decide to let it remain there, thinking that he should not touch another's property. Although this second man does not steal the money for his own purposes, he is unaware of its proper use. The third man who sees the $100 bill may pick it up, find the man who lost it and deliver it to him. This man does not steal the money to spend for himself, nor does he neglect it and let it lie in the street. By taking it and delivering it to the man who has lost it, this man is both honest and wise. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Now, the world today is a lot of people are promoting this one world government, new world. They're not saying communist. They're businessmen, very, very rich people, but their just goal is to just take over everything. Nobody owns anything except them. They own everything, and you have to rent everything from them or whatever. It's a perverted reflection of a monarchy, you know, wherever everything belongs to the king. But the people are given, you know, their property to use, and it's their property, and they pay taxes and they make profit, and everything is done very fairly. There's no exploitation, no, you know, manipulation and control. Communism at its worst, you know, could be like that, but the main problem with the communism that Prabhupada saw was that it was atheistic. It's against the idea of God. So it really means that whoever's in power, they take the position of God without saying the God or anything. And people don't have individual rights so much. But we want that world also, one Krishna conscious world. But it can go bad, like the Kurus, they were emperors of the world, but then they were misleading people. They were enjoying a very, very high standard of material living and sense gratification. And they were providing the people with sense gratification, but they weren't providing them with spiritual education. Therefore, Krishna wanted them out. But the modern capitalists are not much different than the communists, except they allow some so-called freedom of religion, but they also create all these false religions. They promote and create these prosperity preachers and these false religious preachers and make them very prominent. They give them all the publicity, they give them the media. So that's not, you know, that's the opposite of what it should be. Any other comment on that?
Anybody want to contribute? Feel free to share your ideas, what you understand.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It's sometimes very funny and also in some way very sad that sometimes, even though everything is owned by God, because God is the controller, is the creator of everything. But most of us, because of our poor fund of knowledge, we are fighting on this planet Earth because of this ownership or being control of something. That is what has led to us in this our situation. And even sometimes it becomes pathetic when even we the devotees also, we are fighting against these things. When I see one possesses this thing or one has these things, but all that I can say about this thing is that we all should understand that if I'm a billionaire, if I'm a rich, if I'm well situated, if I'm not well situated, whatever position, whatever possession that I have, the right way that we can use it is to use for Krishna control, Krishna service. Other than that, whatever I'm possessing, they are just adding up to my karmic life in my next life to come. So we should be careful because most of us, even if I have a mango tree in my house and someone comes there and he want to come and maybe block down without my notice, and I see that the person is on top of my mango tree, I become angry, very angry and furious. Sometimes I can even beat the person or even arrest the person. but forgetting that that mango tree was created by somebody, which is Krishna. But most of us have forgotten about this thing, and then we have taken possession of everything. And that is why it has spelled our doom for us. So we should be a little bit more careful and understand that Krishna is the owner of everything. So in this respect, we should give everything back to him. Hare Krishna.
Stephen Govina, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dhanavat Pranam. Yes, so I think in this verse, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing on Isavasya principle, where the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of everything. So once a devotee begins to realize the proprietor of everything, all these possessions, the wise devotee should use all these possessions in surrendering to the Lord, or in performing devotional service. So we don't fall in the a man who is not honest, you know. So like in here, Srila Prabhupada is telling us that it's very important to be honest and wise in our everyday lives. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. And understand everything belongs to Krishna. But in the proper government, people actually get proprietorship over things, but they know it belongs to Krishna. If they know it, they can't take it with them when they're gone, but they can leave it in their will. But no one can guarantee that. No one can guarantee that, you know, your children aren't going to kill each other over the property or take it and just gamble away all the money. So a lot of very rich people now, they're not giving their children everything. They're giving them just enough to start a business or something and make it on their own. Okay, good. Next paragraph.
Brother Tutor is raising his hand.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Mine is question. I want to ask question on the last paragraph that we just read. I said it is good to be honest. And I want to ask, if at all, according to the paragraph that said that the $100 was lying down on the street and someone picky was looking for the owner of the $100 to give it out. And as the conclusion, he said, such a person is a wise being, is a wise human being. I'm asking, what about if the $100 was a trap setting for a human, somebody to come and pick so that he will be killed? Then if you attempt to return that money to the owner, then you have killed in that process. What will be the result of it?
Gomara, you didn't get it, sir?
I should come again.
No. I will explain it. I'm just asking whether Gomara gets your question. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I got it.
Okay, go there.
Yeah, well, that's the ideal thing. Of course, very hard to find, you know, if you start advertising, you know, if you find a wallet and it has identification and everything, if you just find money, how are you going to ever, you know, 10 people can come and claim it's theirs, and very hard to prove it. I had experience one time in Japan. I found a wallet. It had a lot of money in it, like a few $100, $800 or something. But there was no identification, no nothing, just the wallet and the money. So I thought about it, and then more or less out of fear that I was being watched or whatever, I went to the police and I turned it in. And the police were telling me, oh, this is very good how you're doing this. And they said, if nobody claims this after a certain amount of time, you know, then you'll get it. And then that I was traveling, it was in a quite far away place. And then I remembered, and I called up, and the police said, "No, you're too late." The police took all the money because nobody came to claim it, because some drunk had just dropped it, and they don't even think about it. But I didn't get it. The police just took all of it because I was too late. But the idea is, like Prabhupada says in Vedic culture, if even into gold lying on, nobody would take it. They would just think, this doesn't belong to me. It belongs to somebody. And that's how Arjuna got the wealth, to help to fight the Battle of Kurukshetra, because in the mountains there had been a big yagya, and the king had given the Brahmins so much gold. They ate off gold plates, but they didn't care. They just left the gold plates behind, and nobody had ever claimed it. So it belongs to the government, so Arjuna could go and claim it. But nobody else ever picked it up. This is how it used to be in the proper vigil, All right. So anyway, better if we find something, it's better to not just grab it. I know in Japan, one Mataji, she left her purse in the train station, just on the bench. And then like 6 hours later, she went and was still sitting there. And I said, wow, that's amazing, And she said, yeah, Japanese are afraid to take it because they think it's a setup by the police. They put that there and they're trying to look for thieves. So if somebody picks it up, they're afraid that the police are just watching, waiting to see if somebody takes it. That's what Kadamba told me. And Japan's kind of like that. One time I was walking in a very crowded subway tunnel, and I was putting some money in my shirt pocket, and I dropped it. Niman. And somebody behind me, they tapped me, sorry, excuse me, you dropped this money. I didn't even know I dropped it because I thought it went in my pocket. So, but Japan was noted to be the most likely place where if you drop something, nobody will steal it. In some countries, forget it. Even if you don't drop it, they'll just take it out of your pocket. But these things happen. And there used to be these kids from Israel, they would come to Japan and they were selling jewelry, silver jewelry, and they have a big long table with so many necklaces and different things. And they would just leave it and go for lunch or something and come back like after a half hour. And they told me nobody ever steals anything when they leave the table empty. But while they're standing there, a group of kids will come up and a couple of them will be distracting him, and someone else will steal stuff from the other end. But they won't take it when it's completely empty. They're too afraid the camera is watching. And very strange. So, but better to be honest for the sake of understanding everything belongs to Krishna, and this is not mine. And
yes, Maharaj.
Maybe somebody's going to pick it up. It might as well be me, Krishna, right? That's all mine.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yes, sometimes in West Africa also, particularly in Nigeria, places like Aba and other places, and just like Maharaj is saying, people used to try to set up some people by dropping some money on the ground, and they will be hiding somewhere watching. So if somebody, by any motivation, either to try to find the owner or something else, pick it, they will just come out and label the person as a thief put tire on his neck. Before he knows, instant justice is set ablaze. So this is why Bright Uta was asking that these kind of experiences are there in some part of Africa. And if in such case, what should we do in such environment? If you find money, should you pick it and look for the owner? Or is it wiser to just leave it and go your way? So, I mean, environmental...
You know, like I said, if it's just money, you know, I don't know how you could find, you know, anybody could just claim, yeah, it's mine. Oh, thank you very much. But, you know, they can't prove it unless they had the serial number or something, not very likely. If it's an item, you know, they could prove it's theirs. Anyway, that's just an example. So let's carry on. Hear from Rupa Goswami. Maybe more could become clear. Prabhupada is really covering everything. And, you know, Prabhupada was writing this in 1974 or something, 73. But he's covering things that are still exactly now what's going on in the news, what everybody's worried about. Things don't change. It seems like it changed to us. Oh, the world is so much different, but nothing is different. Birth, death, disease, and old age, modes of nature, hunger and thirst, you know, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Danda Pranam. Simply transferring from the capitalist to the communist or to communist cannot solve the problem of modern politics. For it has been demonstrated that when a communist gets money, he uses it for his own sense gratification. The wealth of the world actually belongs to Krishna, and every living entity, man and animal, has the birthright to use God's property for his maintenance. When one takes more than his maintenance requires, be he a capitalist or a communist, he is a thief, and as such, he is liable for the punishment by the laws of nature. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, should I continue?
Yeah.
The wealth of the world should be used for the welfare of all living entities. For that is the plan of the modern nature. Everyone has the right to live by utilizing the wealth of the Lord. When people learn the art of scientifically utilizing the Lord's property, they will no longer encroach upon one another's right. Then an ideal society can be formed. The basic principle for such a spiritual society is stated in the first mantra of the Sri Upanishad. Isavasya idam sava yatakancha jagatyayan jatana tayatina bhajanta magakasya
Isavasyam idam sarvam yakincha jagatyam jagat tena bhujita madgrida kasasidanam.
Thank you, Prabhu. Everything animal or animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as the quota, and should not accept other things, knowing where to whom they belong. To whom they belong. Hare Krishna.
Okay, finish. So that's very simple, and it's very basic and not easy to apply. Modern society is telling you should fight to get as much as you can for yourself. And so many people, unfortunately, don't care how many people suffer. I worked hard to get my money. And, I've one little bit wealthy Indian guy told me, anyone who works hard can be rich, had no compassion for poor people whatsoever. But some of the poorest people work the hardest. They work really hard collecting trash, 18 hours a day or something, just to sell it for practically nothing, enough to get some beer or cigarette or something, some old food. They work hard, but they just, donkey works hard, but they only get some grass. Karma is there, you have to work smart, but we don't want to work hard for Krishna, we want to work blissfully for Krishna. Not that it's hard and we don't like it, but work energetically and put out as much as we possibly can. Okay, any comments? If not, somebody read the next one.
Hare Krishna. Krishna conscious devotees know very well that this material world is designed by the complete arrangement of the Lord to fulfill all the necessities of life for all living beings, without their having no encroach upon the life or right of another. This complete arrangement affords the proper quota of wealth for everyone according to his real needs, and thus everyone may live peacefully according to the principle of plain living and high thinking. Unfortunately, materialists who have neither faith in the plan of God nor any aspirations for higher spiritual advancement misuse their God-given intelligence only to augment their material possessions. They diverse many systems, such as capitalism and materialistic communism, to advance their material position. They are not interested in the laws of God nor in a higher goal, always anxious to fulfill their unlimited desires for sense gratification. They are conspicuous by their ability to exploit their fellow living beings. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, I think you are muted.
No, you are muted.
Yeah. So devotees know that all wealth belongs to Krishna, but when Krishna doesn't just keep it for himself and let everybody else suffer, be poor, or tax them to death or anything like that, like many modern governments do. So the communist idea was, everyone equal. But then the communist leaders of the Communist Party are living very opulently and, getting all the good vegetables and fruits and foreign cars and everything, where the common people had nothing practically, just basically whatever they could grow. So it wasn't that everyone is equal. Somebody has to be the leader. Some casts, like the military, they were, treated much better than other people. Or if someone is an extremely good athlete, they would be treated really great, so they could compete, in the Olympics and make their country look good. So you can't have this equality. Everyone is different. Like men and women, They talk about equal rights, equality. They should have equal rights, but they can't be exactly equal. That's not possible, right? It's just not possible because they're different. By nature, we have different bodies. You know, we're completely different. Can't be exactly equal. Men can't have children, even if they get all kinds of surgery, so they look like a woman, and they talk like a woman, and walk like a woman, but they're not women. They're just something else. Like a good actor can dress up like a woman. I saw one actor the other day. He was walking, and from one side, if you're looking straight, he's a man. Then he turned around and there's a woman singing. It's the same person, but different dress and different makeup. But we don't know if it was a man or a woman in real life. But everyone is equal in the eyes of God because we're spiritually equal. So we all have the right to serve Krishna, but everyone can't do exactly the same work, you know, because we have different types of bodies, we have different abilities. Even amongst all men, we're certainly not all the same. All women are not the same. So proper Varnashram can judge who's who and who has what abilities and everything, and then carry on. All right, any other comment?
Yes, Guru, regarding the lawyer, just properly is making us to understand how the lawyer is the biggest cause of scarcity in the material world, and also I remember also is the cause of our suffering. Also, when we become too greedy, like Bhakti mentioned also that lawyer also is not only about greed but the desire. And desire, restlessness of the mind. Sometimes when we become too attached or also become averse, you know, a different way of looking out for a lawyer or greed or desire. So well, that is why Srila Rupa Goswami is advising us to be very careful so that we don't become entrapped in this lawyer, either our desire or greed or our restlessness of the mind and the intelligence.
Right. We just have to direct our desires differently. We can't have no desires. There's no possibility. Impossible. All right. Have we finished that verse now?
It remains the final paragraph.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. When human society gives up these elementary faults emulated by Srila Rupa Goswami, Atyara, and etc., all amenity will ease between men and animals, capitalists and communists, and so forth. In addition, all problems of economic or political maladjustment and instability will be solved. This pure consciousness is awakened by the proper spiritual education and practice offered scientifically by the Krishna consciousness movement. This Krishna consciousness movement offers a spiritual community that can bring about a peaceful condition in the world. Every intelligent man should purify his consciousness and rid himself of the above mentioned 6 hindrances to devotional service by taking wholehearted shelter of this Krishna consciousness movement. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Okay. Any explanation or comment coming forward?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yes, I think in this particular purport, Srila Prabhupada is advising us to become unalloyed devotees of the Lord, so we can overcome all these contaminations that comes with material world. And in the previous in the previous verse also, I think it speaks more about renunciation, how we can actually become selfless and utilize all our possession in the service of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna.
Unfollow, I don't want it anymore. I just erase it. Okay, very good. Anyone else? How about a summary from someone of the whole verse?
Asai Lucky, you want to give summary of the whole purport? Where are you? Or anybody want to summarize what we have been reading so far? Lila Suka, Jamastami, Babananda.
Please. Yeah, Bhavananda, you try. Good idea.
Babananda, are you there?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my small understanding of the whole lecture, or little summary I could derive, is that the purpose or the scripture is trying to let us understand the purpose of our lives is to serve Krishna and actually become righteous, or become righteous devotees as a whole. Because if you are doing things in the right way, as the scripture says, then that makes you a righteous person. So you will become perfect in society. You will set good examples in society, so people will know the importance of Krishna consciousness. It purifies you also. Personally, it brings purification also to you when you follow the scripture and you decide to abide by it. That's why in the scripture it says, when you find money, it is really actually good to return it to the owner. This means you shouldn't keep more than what you have to keep, or you shouldn't cheat people or steal from people. You shouldn't take so much more than you may need. Everything belongs to Krishna, and it is for all of his creations. So as humans, we should take what humans are supposed to take. So the other creations, like the animals, the trees, the plants, can also take what they are also assigned to take, so that we may not overdo things or overtake things that are not supposed to be taken by us. Hare Krishna. This is a little summary I could derive.
Very good. Yeah. So so some people may have a much bigger quota than us. We shouldn't be envious. Blame God. Why am I poor and he's rich? But at the same time, if we see people suffering and have less, we should try to help them as much as we can also. We should know that Krishna will be pleased with that. But some people have such karma, you can't help them. Still, we try. But the whole world, the best way to help anyone is to give them Krishna consciousness, because that will actually help the soul. If we just give a poor beggar money, you know, even if they use it for food, still they won't. But occasionally people do that. They help some beggar. Like in London, our Food for Life, they get a lot of the homeless, drug addicted people. And some of them are not drug addicted, but somehow they're at hard times. And I was in London just like 1 month doing Sankirtan. I met 2 people that told me, yeah, your Food for Life saved me. I was homeless, but they fed me really good. Now I have my own business. And they would not only feed, but if someone is a drug addict, they would help them to get, drug counseling and stuff. And so many people felt like that, that free food and help. But they didn't just give them money and say, go and buy some food, because then you probably wouldn't. But you give them the food, and then you can give them Krishna conscious advice, give them books, help them, and make devotees that way. So anyway, the idea is don't struggle to get something that you don't really need, to live. Utilize what we have for service of Krishna. And if we really utilize everything Krishna gives us, he can give us more and more. But if we forget to use it for him, that's why he doesn't always give us very much, because we might, if Krishna suddenly gave you, 50 million naira or something, you might think, well, I'll take I've been trying to serve Krishna now, now I should enjoy a little bit. I don't need Krishna anymore. So, but some people he gives it to, and they use it to preach even more. So if he sees that we have that really intense lolium, that just agreed to serve Krishna and do more and more for Krishna, he'll give us more. But if we have the greed for more and more things, and we think, if I get more things, then I'll serve Krishna. But now I don't have anything, so I can't preach now. But when Krishna gives me a car, or he gives me a tractor, and he gives me, a house and the farm and everything, then I'll grow some food. No, he'll never give it. But if you go out and grow some food, you dig up one little hole and, like 1 meter square, and grow some potatoes or something, Krishna see, oh, very good, and he'll give you more. But start small, but do everything for Krishna. All right, so thank you. Be sure you read these things over, in your spare time. So the next verse, it tells us 6 things that are good to do. So it's a little more, it's nicer in one sense. But we have to know both, because otherwise we'll waste a lot of energy doing things that are not going to help us. Achahara prayasas cha prajalpo niyamagraha. No. Utsahanishayatayat tat karma pravartanat sangha tyagat satovrite sadbir bhakti prasidhyati. Someone else want to chant it? Sanskrit?
Usaha nisaya darya tatta karma pravartanat sangha tyaga sato vrite sadir bhakti prasidhyati. Someone else?
Usahanasya darya tata kama pravetana sangha tyaga satovriti sabi bhakti prasidyate.
Try.
Okay, the synonyms. Utsaha.
Usaha.
Utsahat.
By enthusiasm.
By enthusiasm.
Nischayat.
Nischayat.
By confidence.
by
by
confidence,
confidence.
Dhairya,
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 by patience,
by
by
patience,
patience.
tat karma,
Sat karma.
various activities favorable for devotional service.
Various activities favorable for
devotional
devotional
service.
service.
Pravartana,
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 by performing.
by performing.
Sangha Tyaga,
Sangha Tyaga,
by giving up the association of non-devotees.
By giving up the association of non-devotees.
non-devotees.
Sate,
By performing
great Acharya,
of the great previous Acharya.
Bhakti,
Bhakti,
devotional service,
devotional service.
By following
Siddhati,
Prasidyati,
advances or become successful.
advances or become
advances
successful.
become very successful.
I got muted. There are 6 principles favorable for the execution of pure devotional service. Read. Okay. Number
There
one.
are six principles favorable to execution of pure devotional service.
Number one, being enthusiastic.
Number one, being enthusiastic.
Number one, be enthusiastic.
Number two,
endeavoring with confidence.
Number two, and
endeavoring with confidence.
So that's very important. Faith. Number three,
patient.
Being patient.
Being patient.
That's very essential. Not patient, I just get frustrated and give up. You can't expect Krishna, you have to hurry up and make me perfect. You have to have patience. Keep moving, we're going to get acting according to regulated principles. Shravanam Kirtanam.
According to the regulated
principles, such as Shravanam Kirtanam,
such as
Hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna.
Hearing, chanting, and
remembering Krishna.
5, abandoning association of non-devotees.
5, abandoning the association of non-devotees.
6, following in the footsteps of previous acharyas.
following
steps of the previous acharya.
These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotion.
This principle undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service.
So we have to, enthusiasm is extremely important. Without enthusiasm, we won't do anything. So I'm going to just look in a dictionary. Enthusiasm means a strong feeling of excitement or interest in something and a desire to become involved in it. And what are synonyms for enthusiasm? Ardor or devotion, eagerness, emotion, energy, feeling, fervor, frenzy, many, many similar words. So devotion, actually there's there's 50 different synonyms for enthusiasm listed. So we won't go over all of them because some of them are quite remote, but anyway, it means you really want to do it, you know. You really feel like this is what I want to do. So enthusiasm. Then so we see many people, they're very enthusiastic. When they come, then they don't stay very long. Because you have to have the next thing also, which is utsahan. Utsaha means enthusiasm. Dhairya. Utsahan nischayat. Nischayat means endeavoring with confidence, faith, that you really believe that this will get me to the goal. This is spiritual perfection. This chanting is the highest spiritual meditation. We have to have faith like that, confidence, believing in the words of the spiritual master. To be confident, trusting, all those different words. To act confident means standing up straight, being self-assured, knowing I'm doing the right thing. Okay, and then the last one is nischayat, utsa nischayat, dharyat. Dharyat is translated as patience. There was something came up on the African forum some time ago, and somebody was mixed up about patience. If you look at the spelling here of patience, right? P-A-E-N-E-N-C-E. But there's another word that sounds exactly the same. Patience. E-N-T-E-S. A doctor has patience. He has customers, or whatever you want to call them, but they're called patients. The hospital has patients. If you go to the hospital, they have the OPD, outpatient department, and the inpatient, you know, outpatient means people that they don't stay in the hospital, they just come and get some treatment and go back. But a doctor also has to have this kind of patience, you know, because customers cry, and they cry and complain and say the medicine's not working, and you know, all kinds of things, blaspheme the doctors. It's not easy being a doctor. But in this case, it means patience. You have to be patient. You have to not be in a hurry. And many different people commenting on that word a lot these days because, you know, how it's not that you just tolerate. It means something like tolerating, but not that you tolerate it like, you know, I'm waiting patiently. No, the quality of being able to stay calm and not get angry especially when there's difficulty or you have to wait for a long time. That's why you have to endeavor with confidence, because we may be very enthusiastic, but then, we want to do something that we don't get the results, or somehow we're not allowed to do it, or, many, many things happen. So patience means you stay calm and peaceful, even though it may be very difficult. There may be so it's not easy to be patient in that way. What is the true meaning? The person's ability to wait something out or endure something tedious without getting riled up. It takes a lot of patience to wait for your braces to come off of your teeth. If your child gets really angry at you, or, whatever. And synonyms for the word patience. Okay, so just to give you a little sample there. So these 6 things, those are 3 things. And then Sangha Tyagat, give up the association of non-devotees. Devotees do that. We don't go to eat meat with our old friends and drink beer with them, go to the movies. I hope. Give it up. And follow in the footsteps of the previous Acharya. These 6 things, you'll be very successful. Okay? Somebody want to read the next paragraph?
Yeah, Guruma, I just want to say something before, like you mentioned. One observation from Rupa Goswami writing, in the text 2 and the text 3, there's an emphasis. In the text 2, it says, Jana Sangha. That is giving up the Monday association. That is which.
It's the same thing. It says associating with non-devotees is bad for you. And in text 3, it says, give up association of non-devotees.
Yes, emphasis.
Same principle, but...
Yes, he's laying emphasis that for us to make advancements, we have to give up about the association with Madeira people. And in the second one also, you have to give it up. So it's very, very important. That is why he's making the emphasis. I just want to stress that association is very important. Yes, Guruma.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean we can't, some devotees think, well, then I can't go to work. I can't have a job because I can't live with karma. We have to be tolerant also. But we don't intimately associate with them. Because they can't understand if we try to talk about our realizations about Krishna, and we talk about Bhakti. So we don't talk about, we just talk about our work. Okay, I'll read one paragraph. Devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. Srila Rupa Goswami has said in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11, Anyabhilasita sunyam gyani karmadanabritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uchite uttama. Prabhupada quotes this one over and over and over again. So many places. Uttama bhakti, or unalloyed devotional service unto the Lord, Sri Krishna, involves the rendering of devotional service in a way that is favorable to the Lord. This devotional service should be free from any extraneous motive and devoid of fruitive karma, impersonal jnana, and all other selfish desire. Your comments? Explanations? It's very simple, but not so easy.
Yes, Guruma, very important proper in the first statement. that devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. It means devotional service is a practical thing. You know, it's not just how I feel or how I imagine. No, we have to be engaged practically in hearing and chanting of Krishna. Hearing and chanting, remembering Krishna practically for pure devotional service, free from karma and gyan. So it's a practical activity, not just sentimental thing. Yes.
Yeah. And it's in the first, I think, second chapter of the Bhagavatam, it says it must be uninterrupted and unmotivated. It's the same idea. Rupa Goswami is making it more clear. That's why if we think we're not getting the results that we read about, we have to examine how much are we uninterrupted and unmotivated. Motivated, of course, we need to be motivated. That means inspired to do something. But we don't need to be motivated to get material results by devotional service. Okay, that's quite simple. Everyone should, memorize this verse, Anya Vilasita Sunya Ganika Narayana. And in the course of this course, you should memorize at least the first 5 or 6 verses of this Upadeshamrita. They're very, very basic and very important, especially if you're preaching to devotees, but for preaching to ourselves, especially. All right, let's read another paragraph.
Hare Krishna. Bhakti is a sort of cultivation. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Cultivation of spirituality does not mean sitting down idly for meditation. As some pseudo yogis teach, such idle information of devotional service, and for this reason, it is sometimes recommended as a way to check distracting materialistic activities. Meditation means stopping all nonsensical activities, at least for the time being. Devotional service, however, not only puts an end to all nonsensical mundane activities, but also engages one in meaningful devotional activities. Sri Prabhupada Maharaj recommends Sravam ke tanam Vishnu Sraranam Prada Sevenam Achanam Vridanam Dasyam Secham Atma Vini Danam. The 9 processes of devotional service are as follows. 1. Hearing the name and glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 2. Chanting his glories. 3. Remembering the Lord. 4. Serving the Lord's feet. 5. Worshipping the deity. 6. Offering obeisances unto the Lord. 7. Acting as the Lord's servant. 8. making friends with the Lord. 9. Surrendering oneself fully to the Lord. Sarvanam, or hearing, is the first step in acquiring transcendental knowledge. One should not give oral reception. One should not give oral reception to unauthorized person, but should approach the proper person as recommended in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita 4, verse 34. Hare Krishna, please, should I go on? Hare Krishna, I think you are muted again.
You got it. So the 9 processes are very important. Who knows where we find those in the first place? Where do we find the 9 processes? It's in the Bhagavatam.
Yes, please, in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Where?
And to 7, that is Prahlad Maharaj's statement.
Yeah. When Hiranyakasipu asked Prahlad, what did you learn in school? He said this. And that's when Hiranyakasipu got really mad. You know, because it's Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smarnam. He couldn't tolerate that. So that's when he decided to kill Prahlad. Shravanam, Kirtanam, that comes first. Usually hearing comes first. Then whatever we hear, we'll chant about. So we want to hear about Krishna, so we'll chant about it. If we're just reading the news and the politics and about all the corruption in the government, then we'll talk about that. So we don't read the newspaper very much, you know. There's not much useful information there, although I saw in Nigeria, they do sometimes a religious page where there are religious people that are quite intelligent and real Christians and really understand the Bible. They don't get much publicity. Hearing, chanting, and remembering. That's what you automatically remember. Now, we might as well go over this because this is so important. We have a particular personality that's noted for hearing the glories of the Lord. Who is that?
Parishit Maharaj.
Okay, now let others talk. Who's famous for chanting?
The Namacharya Haridas Thakur.
Yeah, but there's the specific ones that are mentioned. So there's Prickett for hearing, and who is speaking? Who's the main speaker of the Bhagavatam?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Vyasadeva. Hare Krishna.
No, speaker. Vyasadeva wrote it. Who is speaking to Parikshit?
Sukadev Goswami Maharaj.
Right. Okay. Who is especially noted for remembering the Lord?
Maharaj, please, the question again.
Father's Hiranyakasipu.
Who is known for remembering the Lord? Who is known for remembering the Lord? Sami, you want to say something?
Prahlad Maharaj. Gurudev.
Okay, serving the Lord's feet.
Gurudev, is it Lakshmi Devi?
That's right. Very good. Offering obeisances and prayers. Usually it says prayers. Vandanam. Who is famous for offering prayer?
Akura
Many.
Guru Maharaj.
The one who's mentioned is Akura. When Akura was going to pick up Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan, when he saw Krishna's footprint in Vrindavan, he stopped and he offered beautiful prayer. So he's mentioned. Okay, acting as the Lord's servant. Who's the most famous servant of Lord Ramachandra?
Lord Hanuman.
Oh, very good. Making friends with the Lord.
Arjun.
Very good. And surrendering everything. He's a grandson of Prahlad.
Bali Maharaj.
Very good. You got it. And surrendering everything means, it's mentioned that preaching means you use all your senses. You have to really concentrate. Okay. Okay, Bhagavad Gita 434. That's at least when I joined, it was the second verse that devotees would memorize. First they memorized Sarvadharma Parichajya, and then we'd memorize this one. Tadvidi Pranipatena Paripasnena Sevaya Upadekshanti Te Gyanam Gyaninas Tattvadarshan. Translation.
Just try to learn the truth by approaching the spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth.
Okay, that verse now means you have to find the self-realized soul, and upadeksyanti, pariprashnena. Prashna means questions, but pariprashna means submissive questions, that you're willing to hear the answer and accept it. Like if you ever went to a university class anywhere, but especially in Nigeria, I think, you get so-called questions, but they're challenging. They want to show you're wrong, or it's not really questions. They're just giving their own lecture. But submissive inquiry, like Arjuna said, okay, now I'm a soul surrendered to you, please guide me. And then he listened. And sevaya. So when we approach a spiritual master, if we want to get the mercy of the spiritual master, then it's pariprashnena sevaya. Submissive inquiry and service. That's very famous. I'll end with this. If you listen to Prabhupada's morning walks, in Bombay, there was one older man, he was a doctor, and he was kind of like friends of Prabhupada, but he was a Mayavadi, very talkative. He knew a lot of Bhagavad Gita, he knew verses. And he would argue with Prabhupada because the Mayavadis, they think spiritual conversation means arguing. They don't ever have a conclusion. They just like arguing. So Prabhupada, after a while, he said, Pariprashnena sevaya, you have to be submissive. And he said, I am submissive. And Prabhupada said, no, you're not submissive. He said, I am submissive. He said, Prabhupada said, you just argue. He said, no, I don't. Prabhupada said, yes, you do. He said, no, I don't. Prabhupada said, yes, you just argue. Finally, he said, yeah, you're right. And then years later, when devotees met that man, because they were interviewing people that had been with Prabhupada, he said that was one of the best days of my life, when Prabhupada smashed him. Because Prabhupada did it in a very friendly way. But it sounds like, but that you hear that kind of talk with Mayavadis when they argue with each other. They just like, they talk loud and they all claim to be right. So we can stop there, exactly on time. Thank you very much. Now please read over the book, in your spare time, so you can keep it in mind. Especially just read the first two purports and read ahead the third one so you're familiar with it. And if there's any slokas quoted, look them up and study them. Okay?
That's good, Maharaj.
Thank you for organizing. Thank you for coming. It's 15.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for your mercy. So let us all chant Hare Krishna Mantra to appreciate Guru Maharaj for his time. Be with us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
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 Hare
Rama.
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much, Guru
Is
Maharaj.
that Florence from Port Harcourt or a different Florence?
Guru Maharaj, say what?
We have one Florence Mensa. Is that Florence, the school teacher from Port Harcourt, or a different Florence?
I think this Florence is from Ghana. Florence Mensa. Okay, from Ghana, Accra. Yes, from Ghana.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Rama, Rama,
Rama, Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare. So see you next weekend. So Guru Maharaj said, please, you should read ahead. Read the one we have read before, and you should read the verse that we are reading now ahead next week. Thank you very much, everyone.